That's what I thought when I saw new Lisa Eldridge Desert Gleam palette. But that is not that simple. Hi, welcome to the Art App, and today we're going to try to find those sensual, scenty desert tones in our eyeshadow collection. And believe me, you probably already have them. I've been a long-distance admirer of Lisa Eldridge for years, kind of screen-staring admirer. I even have some of her products in my post-no-buy wishlist, somewhere here. Her eyeshadows are rarely decluttered by anyone, and the compact itself feels like it belongs on a marble vanity next to a glass of champagne and silk rope. The color stories are always very harmonious but complex, yet extremely wearable. So everything about these brands and everything about the eyeshadow palettes just screams quiet luxury. And yet, with everything being said, I could not bring myself to spend $62 on one eyeshadow palette. The website doesn't even show the pricing in Canadian dollars, so I can just guesstimate how much it will be. And why is the font so small? So obviously I thought, why not just let myself play around and try to recreate the vibe? Even for a moment, let myself channel that desert goddess energy, because this is what a good collection should do: help you experiment and tap into the mood. So I started confidently pulling out my eyeshadows, genuinely believing that I have everything. 5 minutes later, I was questioning my entire eyeshadow collection. But let's start from the beginning. The very first shade in this palette is called Dunes. It is described as rich, warm sand matte. At first glance, I thought it is something like vintage taupe, but upon closer inspection and comparing them side by side, I see that this one definitely leans cooler, dustier, and rosier. Looks like I need to switch to softer tones. I think either Bantha Tracks or Attic from Natasha Denona Mini Star should work. Let's watch them side by side to see the difference. Attic definitely looks closer to something that can be described as warm sand matte. Moving on to Chrysina, an enigmatic duo silver that shifts from warm to cool green silver. I immediately thought about industrial, my go-to green to silver shade, and for the warmer flip, Max Oh So Guilty came to my mind. But after seeing more swatches of that palette, I thought maybe actually Imperial Credit from Colourpop would be a closer match. But nope, that one ended up being way too dark. What I actually need is something with a brighter green base. So I'm thinking that a mixture between Patina and Sinful will be the closest dupe, because one gives the silver shift while the other a green base. Then we have Acacia, a seamless deep matte cocoa brown. I don't have a lot of browns in that range, so I decided to go with Cypress Umber. I hope it's going to be a fair shot. Ablaze comes next. It is described as a bronze gold that's somehow both cool and warm. The shade description for this eyeshadow palette are just next level. I had to really dig through my stash to find something that at least vaguely resembles that description. In the end, I settled on Gold Nectar from Pat McGrath. At this point, I started noticing something very interesting. These eyeshadows are not single note colors. They are complex, they are layered, like matching them with one eyeshadow was practically impossible. Every time I had to mix 2 or 3 eyeshadows to even get close, and depending on where I looked, different lighting, different angles, different swatches, those eyeshadows seemed to shift, and it just confirmed to me how multi-dimensional these eyeshadows maybe in reality are. The next one is Sahara. It is a soft, hockey velvet matte, and for me that would be an easy one because I have only one Haki in my collection. It is 60s from Mini Retro, so I'll just go with it. And the last one is Firefly, not for the fair-hearted one. Super intense metallic gold. For yellow gold, my options were either Celesta from Divina Cosmetics, which is more of a sparkly topper, or Soft Struck from BH Lost in Los Angeles palette. And I think that Soft Struck looks like the closest match. Sorry for the mess, I'm using the hell of a lot of this palette right now. Here is the final swatch of all the shades. Visually, this palette is extremely dynamic. Somehow, the cool tone shades and warm tone shades magically work together. I wouldn't call it a typical nude palette, but neither can I call it something extremely bold. And to see how those colors work together, I decided to do two makeup looks. This is the first one. I wanted to try warm tones, so I went for yellow metallic gold halo eye. And this is the second one. I followed the tutorial on Lisa Eldridge website, and I'm so happy that I did it. I would never have thought of combining these two colors together if not for duping this eyeshadow palette, and I somehow became more open to these warm tone Haki colors. I probably have all these colors. That's what I initially thought when I saw that palette. But when I started looking for close enough dupes, I actually do not. And that surprised me. It actually made me even more interested in the palette. Not this specifically, but Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows in general. Maybe I am overcomplicating things because I have only virtual experience with this palette, but the color story, the luxurious packaging, and I'm a sucker for a good packaging, really pulled me in. So this is one of those funny situations when duping didn't talk me out of buying eyeshadow palette, but instead talked me into maybe exploring more about the brands. Has this ever happened to you? Because judging from these videos, duping usually stops me from buying makeup. Let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.